2015 to 2016, Casey Neistat was on the top of his game. He had an incredibly successful YouTube channel, garnering millions of subscribers and views, developed an entirely new formula for daily vlogging, and inspired thousands of content creators all around the world. And if that wasn't enough, things were about to get even better. Neistat's tech company Beme was acquired by CNN for $25 million. Things were looking great. Casey Neistat, arguably the king of YouTube at the time, was being given a massive amount of money and resources to create the next big digital media company. But in spite of all the success, money, and talent, Beme failed. But why? Here is the story of Beme, the $25 million failed experiment. First, let's go back. July 17th, 2015. Casey Neistat and his company released the social media app Beme. The idea behind the app was that users would put their phone up to their chest and record a video for 2 to 8 seconds. The intention for this was for the people recording to still enjoy the moment they were in. And as soon as you finished filming your Beme, it would instantly be posted. There were no like features either. Instead, you reacted in real time to people's posts, and a screenshot of your face would be sent while you were watching the video. All of these strange ideas came together to make Beme. In a world with filters, edits, and face tuning, Beme was trying its best to be as authentic as possible. The app was released and almost instantly gained millions of downloads and users, but this was largely due to Neistat's daily vlogs becoming the most popular series on YouTube at the time. But then after just a couple of short months of popularity, Beme quickly lost all of its momentum. It wasn't a new TikTok or Vine by any means, and it most likely failed due to how different it was trying to be, and also due to Neistat not promoting it enough in his vlogs. Sure, he made a couple videos about the app when it came out, but after that no one really talked about Beme. It seemed as if Beme was just going to be another failed app that faded into obscurity. That was until this.
Yesterday we announced that I sold my technology company Beme to CNN.
On November 28, 2016, Beme was acquired by CNN for a reported $25 million. And with this, it was also announced that the Beme app would be shut down just a couple months later. And at first this was confusing. The only thing people really knew about Beme was that it was an app company founded by Casey Neistat, and now the single app that the company had was shutting down. But it was later revealed exactly what Beme as a company would be doing, along with Casey Neistat. In reality, CNN wasn't paying for the Beme app. Instead, they were paying for the development team at Beme as well as access to Casey Neistat. CNN's goal with the purchase of Beme was to produce a news product that caters to a younger millennial audience. They wanted to do this with interactive apps, as well as a YouTube channel ran by Neistat. CNN had huge hopes for Casey Neistat to be the guy to make a new network for a millennial and Gen Z audience, and hopefully bring some of that audience to the cable news network. And with that, Beme News was created. A YouTube channel that was about news and journalism. It was sort of like Vice, but with Casey Neistat's signature tone and voice. A lot of the videos had that handmade quality that his videos were so well known for. Casey Neistat hosted some of the channel's videos, and it was clear his fingerprints were all over it, just based off the channel's style and voice. And along with Neistat running the channel, there was Jake Roper from Vsauce 3. Similar to Neistat, his videos had a handmade aesthetic. The Beme acquisition seemed like it was off to a great start. Casey Neistat, arguably one of the most influential YouTubers ever, was going to be given practically unlimited money and resources to change journalism and potentially entertainment as a whole on YouTube. And in July of 2017, Beme News was off to the races. They were making great, high-quality content about a variety of subjects, and the views weren't too bad either, with at least 100K a video. Although Neistat wasn't in every video, the audience quickly became okay with this, and the hosts native to the channel started to emerge. For the first initial months, it felt like this $25 million experiment from CNN was actually going to pay off. Sure, the channel wasn't gaining millions of views a video, but it was having a solid, steady rise to success. And then, just over a year later, after the company was acquired, Casey Neistat put out an announcement.
Matt Hackett, my business partner and co-founder in Beme, a company that the two of us founded a little over 3 years ago, he and I are moving on from Beme.
This came as a shock to many. From the outside, it seemed like Beme was doing just fine. The channel was putting out steady content, and CNN was excited about the development team's apps that they were making. But in spite of this outside appearance, it wasn't really what was going on. It turned out that Casey was growing increasingly frustrated with the business. In an interview with BuzzFeed News shortly after Neistat's announcement, he said this: "I couldn't find answers. I would sort of disappear and I would hide and I would make YouTube videos for my channel because at least I would be able to yield something." This quote is short, but I think it's very telling about how Neistat was feeling at the time. After all, Casey Neistat is an artist and a primarily solo one at that. He was making daily vlogs for over a year at this point, and now he's suddenly working in a company environment where things take time. And for someone like Neistat who puts out so much content so quickly, there's a good chance he became frustrated with the slower-based teamwork approach to creating content and products. Neistat rarely makes projects with a big team, and after his YouTube success, he was working with teams less and less. His vlog just involved himself being able to make every single decision, and now he was suddenly thrown into an environment where he's now working and managing over a dozen people to create a YouTube channel. It's safe to say this wasn't a process that Neistat enjoyed and instead chose to hide away to work on his own projects. It seemed like this experiment was something that Neistat just wasn't fully invested in, which ultimately led to the company's downfall. Not only that, but Beme as a company was just confusing. They were a tech company at first turned media company, but also wanted to make apps on the side. It seemed as if Beme didn't know which lane to pick, so they decided to dip their toes in both. And sure, these apps that were going to be made were intended to support the content coming from Beme News, but that's incredibly hard to do when both teams want to work at different paces. As a news channel, you need to be fast, and app development doesn't always support that. So with all these factors at play, Beme failed. After Neistat and his business partner Matt Hackett announced their departure, Beme itself was going to be shut down and folded into CNN. And as for the app development team, well, they went to work for CNN as well, and others were let go entirely from the company. Beme News went on for about a year and a half until their last video was uploaded on August 8th, 2019. And since then, we haven't heard anything from the channel or the people involved. And with that, CNN's $25 million experiment ended. But the company wasn't without a few successes. They had a genuinely great YouTube channel, something that I would have loved to see more of, and they managed to release an app during the 2016 election that interviewed people on who they voted for. Beme News initially felt like it could have been a massive success, especially with Neistat behind it. But it's clear he just wasn't passionate enough. And it goes to show that your team can have all the talent and resources in the world, but without a clear vision, a leader, and lack of patience, the company as a whole will be destined to fail.